Hey guys, my name is Gideon Mazembe. I'm a lifestyle coach based here in Brisbane, Australia. Now, being a lifestyle coach, how did I get to this point? How does one become a lifestyle coach? I can only explain to you my journey of becoming one. Now, what originated as a pursuit to becoming a professional rugby league player suddenly coming to an end, not because of injury or anything like that, but just being told I wasn't good enough. I decided to grab all the knowledge that I attained in the training world and apply it to the general public because I knew the benefits of what it is to do the exercises and this, that, and the other. So I decided to become a personal trainer in the beginning. But quickly I found that I wasn't just a personal trainer, that my clients were expressing other elements of themselves towards me, not just the desire to become healthier and fitter, but other problems that were going on in life. I found myself tippy-toeing around these issues because I wasn't equipped to engage myself in these conversations. But fast forward time a little bit, I found that one thing that we all have in common is that we come to a point in life where we question who we are. What are we supposed to do? The confusion of what is my potential? I even went through this questioning myself. When I was released from the professional system of rugby league, I once thought I was going to be this grand NRL player that the world would be chanting my name. So I'd put in all the hours, I'd put in all the efforts, exercise over time. And I started to define myself as a rugby league player, and that's all I knew I was going to be. But I was told that I was still not good enough, and therefore my definition and my perception of self disintegrated. And I found that I wasn't the only one in the situation. As my career in the health and fitness world, being a personal trainer, started to develop, I found that more and more clients would share similar stories, not necessarily as an aspiring rugby league player, but just the idea of being confused about having something that you identify yourself with be removed from you. So I went off and did some extra studies. I went and studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and some other skills to help me in conversation with these individuals because I knew I had to pay respects for them opening up to me. And as I went on with the studies, I started to develop the passion of being in conversation with my clients, so much so that I enrolled in being a counselor. And I wanted to bring those two worlds together because ultimately health and fitness, a lot of people, when you tell them, the first thought that comes to mind is gym, exercise. But no, health and fitness are two elements. You got the health, which is the mental, emotional, and spiritual or soul, as you may see it, and the fitness is the physical element, and we'll get into that as well. But the two things I want to share with you guys today is the conversation and a little bit about exercise. Why these two elements are the most important elements in not only discovering who you are, but also empowering and recognizing your potential that lies within you. For when you come through, self-questioning moments, self-doubting moments, when you come to a roadblock in life, how conversation and exercise play a significant role. How they played a significant role in my life in bouncing back. Just to go a little bit deeper about myself, when I was released from the professional system of rugby league, I went into a dark place of questioning myself. Who am I? The one thing that I thought I was going to be had been taken away from me. The one thing that I'd put my extra time, waking up at 4 a.m., running for 10 kilometers, coming back, hitting the gym, putting in 4 or 5 hours a day of work so that I could become this entity, this name, had been taken away from me simply just by a tap on the shoulder and been told, hey, listen, you know what we're looking for. That took me to a dark place. I started getting heavily involved in the drinks. I started exploring in the drugs. I started becoming reckless. My relationships were just becoming, everything. I was just a hazard. I became just self-sabotaging and a problem to others as well. All because which what I've come to learn now is I never had the conversation with myself. And not only that, the more that I engaged in the alcohols and the drugs and the self-sabotaging behaviors, I started losing track of my fitness. Now, you may be going through this as well. If not, well, I encourage you to keep going and keep applying what works and keep going forward. But for those of you who have come to this point in your life or have often bounce back and forth with these questionings of who am I or what am I supposed to do now or not knowing your true identity, I would like to offer this to you. The conversation element. What does that mean? What does conversation mean? What am I going to do about life? What am I going to do? Listen. Yeah, I'm going to kill you. No, conversation is not you going back and forth with yourself, doing yes and no. Conversation is you hearing your voice again. Because often what happens, as it happened to me, you lose touch with yourself. You lose the recognition of your voice. Because you're constantly reacting to what happens to you in life. And this may happen to you. Being let go from a job, or going through the breakup, or constantly finding your bank being empty, or falling behind on the rent payments, or this, that, and the other. You start to be reacting to your circumstances, and you lose track of your voice. Now I want to break this down to you of why it is important to recognize your voice. Let's reverse engineer this. All right, you've got your habits. Your habits is ultimately what leads you to wherever you are right now. Your habits, if you take that one step back, is an accumulation of actions. All right, your habits is something that becomes automated. It's just how you naturally react. It's almost second nature. It could be a defense mechanism or an attack mechanism that you've only come to know and you use in time of turmoil. When a breakup happens, it's time to go to the gym and get bulk. When you get let go from a job, you go have a drink, or you have these, what we call food therapy, not food therapy, foods. You start to eat foods, and comforting foods is what I was looking for. So you start to immerse in comforting foods as if that's the best action. If you go one step back, you will find a belief system. A belief system is that which the heart, grabs onto and conversates about. And the mind says, I will navigate us through this. So here's an example. You've been, I use breakups often because I've been down that road. So you've gone through a bad breakup, all right? And the heart says, I'm going to show you. I don't need you. You fight back, whatever it is. Your heart says something and your mind says, I've got the map. Follow me and this is what we're going to do. And then in that following, you create action. And that action, when you constantly repeat it, it develops into a habit. Your belief system is the result of where we are now, or what I want to talk to you about, and that is conversation. Conversation is where it all begins. Conversation, when concluded, leads to a belief system. Belief system, the heart and the mind come to a meeting and navigate the way through for you to take action. Action, constantly repeated, develops into habit. And habits, whether they're good or bad, is up to you. And it's up to where you want to be. Now we're on conversation. Let me talk to you about conversation a little bit and how it's helped me. And I believe it will help you bounce back or bounce further from where you are now. Conversation. The two conversations that I favor the most are: one, how is this going to end? How is it going to end? How you got here is almost, and I would also confidently say that it becomes none of your concern anymore. Because your concern is the now, who you are now. How you got here, you can play the blame game. He, she, the government, this, that, and the other. How you got here no longer is your concern. How is this going to end? That is your greater concern. How is this going to end? What you're saying in there is, what am I going to do now? That conversation has begun. How it ends, that conversation I'm talking about, is ultimately how your belief system is going to develop. It's going to shape what type of actions you're going to take, and ultimately what habits are now going to be inherited within you. Ask yourself, how is it going to end? Now, I can't give you that answer, nor can anybody, and that's why it's important for you to be by yourself and ask, how is this going to end? If you want to get fitter, you'll know that drinking and bad foods are not going to help you get fitter. So you evade all that. You know that you want to have a stronger mindset. You know that talking about your past is not going to help. Any negative talk or anything else that doesn't serve purpose for you to start taking a step further, you will recognize as a non-essential and you will avoid. But only that recognition can take place if you can conclude the conversation of how is this going to end. The second one is, this is where you develop your power. What else am I made of? When I ask this question, and when I ask this question upon myself, what else am I made of? What I'm saying there is, what haven't I exercised that still lies within me? Do I speak my mind? Do I stand my ground? Am I heard? Am I unafraid? Or have I suppressed a lot of these things based on the circumstances that have happened to me? Have I been let go from a job and pressed myself down and never spoke my mind? Have I been broken up and never really, expressed how I really feel, pressed that down? Have I gone through this and pressed that down and pressed and pressed and pressed and found myself to be depressed? I believe it's time for you to fight back, my friends. If you've been in the circumstances, I'm saying start the conversation. How is it going to end? And what else are you made of? Has your voice not been exercised enough? Have you not spoken your mind often enough? Have you not taken action long enough and not been concerned about what anybody else thinks often enough? It's time for you to start to recognize that you are more than what you have become. You're more than what happens to you. Conversation is your important and your most important foundation to building the new you or empowering the who you are now and moving further into life. Conversation is where it starts, and ultimately it goes into your belief system. You may need a new belief for the mind to navigate through and the heart to have the courage to take those steps, which ultimately is action, and those actions repeated become your habits. Now you know how to fight back as opposed to just taking the blows and moving on with it. Conversation is an important element. And the second element which I use to bounce back is obviously exercise. Now, exercise, let's break that down into two again. When I talk about exercise, a lot of people think, it's not working, Gideon. Doing the exercises, yeah, feel good, but it's not working. Exercise is not just the physical element on the outside. Exercise is also on the inside. You see, on the inside, you've got organs and cells and everything that goes to work as well. But those things go to work in accordance to what you eat. You see, if you put junk food inside of you, well, your insides, your organs, your cells, and your muscle fibers, and every element that's inside of you that's working its butt off to keep you alive can only work in accordance to the fuel that you give it. You give it low fuel, it's going to put in low effort. Just like when you are on the outside, if you're lifting light weights all day, every day, you're not going to get any stronger. Well, that goes the same for the inside. Make yourself fitter on the inside by eating the right foods. Yes, you're going through a tough time. Check your conversation. Is it self-sabotage? Are you talking to yourself as a victim, or are you asking the question, how is this going to end? What else am I made of? And yes, I've got to eat my fruits. I've got to eat my veggies. I've got to have this intake. Cadbury is not for me. Marlo is not for me. Crunchies are not for me. Smith's chips are not for me. Because I want this to end this way. Because I am more than what I have become. I'm more than what happens to me. I am not a victim of my circumstances. I will be the victor. So I'm encouraging you guys, explore your conversation and look after your exercise. Not just the push-ups and the sit-ups and the runs, but what goes on the inside. Exercise yourself on the outside and on the inside. And you will discover, and I'm telling you this, and I promise you this, you will discover you are more than what you have become. You are more than what happens to you.